What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Fantasy Premier League deadline stream. This time, it's all about the free hit for Gameweek 29. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns. And I will be finalizing my own team. I haven't made any changes besides putting Trossard in the lineup. Kane captaincy, I'm having some doubts about because he did just play 120 minutes midweek, so that I don't know, that puts me off a little bit. I'm still not too worried about rotation with him. Especially with Lamella out, that's just another attacker they couldn't play instead of him. So maybe Kane not captain. I think regardless, I'll still simply have Kane in the team. But maybe him not captaining him would make a little more sense. But there's no really other options that I'm super interested in. And how is it going, Kobe? Hope you are doing well. Thoughts on captaining Lingard? So Lingard's actually somebody that I can't really decide on because Arsenal is a tough fixture. Now, somebody in the comments of my last video was like, they were like, good video, but Arsenal, you know, they aren't good defending. They're sporadic at best, and I have to disagree. I mean, I know they haven't kept a clean sheet in a long time, and that does make a difference. Obviously, that's how we get points, but they still have conceded, only 3 teams have conceded more than them all season, more goals. So right away, they're one of the top defenses, and they rank about the same around the 4th area in terms of expected goals conceded, expected goals against over the course of the season. We can see Arsenal 4th best, and if we sort by recency, I think we'll see a similar pattern. Let's go for like the past 2 months or so. Arsenal 5th best, so they've simply been, you know, a top 5 defense all season, I would say. Now, West Ham, you know, it's not, so right away that puts me off Lingard. I don't even have him in my lineup at the moment, so I'm trying to decide. Now, Lingard's numbers are probably better than almost anybody else's at the moment, so I have some of my players and some key players I've been looking at here. And this is since January 6th. I went a while back just to see if it makes a difference. Lingard does have a small sample size. Let's look at the teams he's played. He's only played 6 games for West Ham. Villa, Fulham, Sheffield United, Tottenham, Man City, Leeds United. Now, he got an assist against. He got 5 points against Man City, 5 points against Leeds. Yeah, he actually didn't play against United, obviously. Scored against Tottenham, assist against Sheffield United. The only game he blanked was against Fulham. And Fulham, you know, defending well recently. Villa and Sheffield United at the time, I would say those are both kind of easy matchups for them. Tottenham and Man City, obviously completely different stories, and Leeds were kind of easy as well. So really, you know, we're looking at the Man City and Tottenham games. They scored 2 and then 1, and Lingard was involved in both. So that's very nice. Arsenal have been defending well. I still don't. I think his ceiling is limited, Lingard. And there's not a lot of great options this week, but you're picking him because of form and not fixture, and that's okay. I can't say I would captain him though, considering how much I'm debating even putting him in the lineup. I don't really love any captaincy options though. I still think I would go. I don't know. I can't really give you somebody that's definitely better besides Kane. I feel like all these guys are very close. But yeah, anyway, Lingard recently, as far as expected goal involvement, he beats, you know, Rafinha, Mape, Bamford, Trossard, Lookman, obviously Tierney. He beats Maha. Let's throw in the rest of these players that are sort of relevant, like Bale, Kane. I'll put in Reguilon as well to compare him to the other defenders. Tierney and Dallas are pretty much the same in terms of attacking threat as far as underlying numbers go. Dallas or Tierney for long term. Let's take a look at the fixtures. Dallas, you really just have to get through this stretch. If you can afford to bench him in these fixtures, I would take Dallas every day. If for whatever reason that causes a major issue, I think Tierney's a fine option. But if I had to choose between one of the two longer term, I would stick with Dallas. You know, I think the thing is he simply has more goal threat. Tierney has assist threat as well, but Dallas, not only can he get the occasional shot off, but I think he's actually a pretty decent finisher. So if I had to choose, I would go Dallas, but I think they're both solid options. but I would just want to be able to bench Dallas through this point here, 31, 32, 33. Maybe play him, and if you have to, it's okay, especially against Liverpool at the moment. But other than that, the fixtures are absolutely amazing, especially the final three: Burnley, Southampton, and then they end off on West Brom. It's going to be very nice. So yeah, I love Dallas. I don't see him leaving my team personally. I know this is my free hit team, but he's also in my actual team. So going back to this, we can see Kane and Lingard stats since January 6th. That's just a random date I chose. I tried to add a little bit more than simply a month like I usually do. So it's 10 appearances for Kane, 6 for Lingard. We see the same exact expected goal involvement over that time. Now, I will say that Kane in that time has had no penalties taken, and Lingard did take a penalty. And I would expect, basically the deal with West Ham at the moment is that Lingard, they said they're going to rotate penalty takers just to keep the goalkeepers guessing, basically. So we just don't know. Lingard will occasionally take some, but we could also see him go the rest of the season without taking one. If they only get one or two throughout the course of the season, Declan Rice could easily take both, and then Lingard could never take one again. But Kane hasn't got a penalty in that time, and Lingard has. And Kane, they both finished above their expected goals. They both finished very well. But yeah, same expected goal involvement for Kane and Lingard. Of course, similar time period. If we go to expected goals against, we can see that Villa much worse defensively than Arsenal. So that alone would say Kane's a better option. But if you factor in 120 minutes, maybe, just maybe, you can make the case for a Lingard captaincy. He's been very good recently. I'm really thinking of putting him in. The thing is, Trossard and Rafinha, they have better fixtures. I don't know. I mean, Rafinha's numbers are good as well. Trossard's really aren't. I'm sort of losing faith in Trossard. But for some reason, I just feel like Arsenal have a decent chance of a clean sheet. But I should probably throw one West Ham player in there. In fact, I think I'll do that, to be honest. I think Lingard in. His numbers are simply too good recently. I'm still not a huge fan of him. I think I'll go Trossard over Rafinha on the bench, but I think I'll line up like this. I mean, Maha out is sort of the obvious way to go, but I'm thinking of leaving him in at the moment. I want at least one attacker against Leeds, because just in case Fulham come out and dominate that game. I think it's possible. They have a lot on the line, so it just depends on how it goes. Good luck. Good luck, William. Diaz or Rudiger long term? I guess the main issue would be Diaz's rotation risk. Let's take a look at Diaz. How many games has he played recently? Because I think that's really what you're up against here. And Man City have also conceded a lot recently. Obviously, Diaz is more expensive. I would still expect Diaz to play most of these games, but I think I'm actually leaning towards Rudiger. I mean, there's also some rotation risk here, I suppose, but he's a little bit cheaper. Let's compare them defensively. I know they've both been great, but I mean, since January 7th, Chelsea have defended better. They've played 3 less games in that time period, 15 compared to 12. Man City have 11 expected goals against, and Chelsea have 6. And actual goals against is 8-4, and Chelsea wins again. I mean, Chelsea have simply been too good defensively. By the way, since that time period that I selected, Brighton, never mind. They've played so many less games, it doesn't count. But Brighton have still been pretty good defensively, better than Arsenal and West Ham. The same amount of games for them. Probably some better fixtures in there. I feel like Brighton, if we look at their fixtures, we'll see that they've played Burnley, Villa, Crystal Palace, West Brom, Leicester, Southampton. It's been kind of easy for them, so it's probably skewing the statistics a little bit. But if I had to choose, I think I would go Rudiger. Some decent fixtures, a little cheaper too. And I don't know, I'm just too worried about Champions League and Diaz. Not too sure what's going to happen. Hey Jack, how's it going to go? So Odegaard, I'm not a fan of, to be honest. Kobe, I would go Lingard over Odegaard. I mean, we'll just have to see. We don't know too much about Odegaard. I think he should play a lot. As far as a long-term option, though, no. I mean, a 1-week punt, maybe for if like a free hit situation, but I'm not too sold on him yet. I'm not sure that he's a goal scorer, and that's the main issue, I would say. I just transferred out Stones for Dallas over Tierney. Yeah, I mean, transferring out Stones definitely makes sense. He's got to go for my actual team soon. Dallas over Tierney. Longer term, I think I would do the same thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you have a wild card in hand, looks nice for Dallas over the next two. That's for sure. Fulham. I mean, Fulham have been so poor attacking wise. I'm almost tempted to captain Dallas. I was thinking about that before the stream started. Over the past while, it hasn't been too bad for them. But if we go like very recent, if we go since over the past month, where Fulham at? Fulham all of a sudden they're 5th worst. Average of 1 XG per game. Leeds keep a decent amount of clean sheets, even though they're not the best defensively as far as consistency goes. They keep some clean sheets in games where they should win. So, I don't know, man. I think Dallas, maybe even... That's something I could do, actually. I could go 5 at the back. I could get Ailing instead of Maja. I don't know if I can do that, though. That'd be a little too much. I just don't trust these attackers. I think I'm going to go Lingard at this point. It's almost too safe, you know, like I got Lingard and I have an Arsenal defender and I have Maha and I have a Dallas defender. I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them playing each other. It's just kind of safe. They can't both return. Well, they could with attacking returns, but I feel like all my defenders have a decent chance of attacking returns. Maybe not Dunk. He did score last week, but not the most goal threat overall. I need to decide Maha out if that's going to be worth it or not. Best keeper for this week, I think it's Sanchez. That's who I have on my free hit. It's tough. I think Sanchez, Meslier makes sense. Obviously, the Fulham matchup's pretty good. But I think Newcastle, the way they played at the moment and their injuries just makes Sanchez a little bit better. And if you're free hitting, I just, put a playing goalkeeper on the bench. The way the team's set up is like I still have $6 million in the bank on free hit. There's just not many expensive options, so money's not an issue. So I can just throw money wherever I feel like putting it. I feel like there's a lot of decent goalkeeper options though, but if I had to choose one, I would say Sanchez. Brighton been pretty good defensively recently, and obviously Newcastle with their injury troubles. Brighton, in terms of expected stats, Brighton actually look good a lot. Their issue is they can't finish as far as goals go, and that's why I'm not too sure if I expect Brighton to score 2 goals this game. I could easily see this being 1-1, 1-0, 0-0, Brighton, Newcastle. We don't know for sure, obviously, but Brighton, I don't trust anybody. I don't trust Trossard or Mape at the moment to score goals, to finish their chances when they get them. So, but yeah, so Cher is injured. Saint-Maximin, Almiron, and Wilson are all at least partially injured. Almiron may feature. I think Wilson probably has a chance, but I don't think he will. If we go to standings, how are the standings shaping up? It's something I start paying attention to later on the season. Yeah, I mean, I know Spurs look terrible, but I don't know where else I'm going to go as far as attack goes. And I just kind of have to trust them. I don't trust their creativity, but Bale and Kane can just, it takes one moment, especially for Kane. But there's not really amazing alternatives. And I'm okay with it. Villa they give up chances. That's something we've seen a lot recently. But I'm generally happy. Besides the fact that they played so many minutes, I'm happy to write it off as a bad game. We've seen them sort of come out of nowhere with a good game before. So we'll see what happens. So Newcastle, they have to fight. They're fighting off relegation. And so are Brighton. And teams in these scenarios oftentimes concede few goals. So Brighton attackers, Newcastle attackers, it really scares me a little bit. And same thing, I mean, Fulham, I've talked very much about how they've defended very well recently. So looking at Leeds as double attack, I'm not too convinced by that either. I mean, obviously they're still as far as their form goes and their quality, it looks good, but the fixture isn't really there for them. I don't like them playing Fulham. Could be tough, but I'm happy to have Bamford and Dallas. Rafinha is also a solid option, but there's just all these like middle range options. Like you could even throw Bale in there, but Lingard, Trossard, Rafinha, like there's no standout, but they're all decent. So points on the bench incoming is what that means. Which defender should I get? Dunk, Dawson, Tierney, etc. Read last comment. I'd probably say Oliver Burke, to be honest. No, I think I would go with, if I had to choose, I would say, if you're free hitting, I would say Dunk. If not, I would go Tierney. What do you think of making an early transfer, looking forward to next game with Salah to Burke? Well, let's take a look at Burke. I think Burke, if they just give him minutes, it's all about rotation with him. We know how good he is. We know he's the best player. But, only 1,000 minutes this season. I think you're dealing with a little rotation here. But, just, wait for him to nail on that spot, and then we can go for that move. Get Dallas for 9 players or roll the transfer to prevent hits in the future game weeks. I know that a lot of people are in this scenario where hits in the future game weeks are like, it's almost going to happen because of blanks or just bad team, the way the team's shaping up at the moment. I think it's an interesting one. I think in general I would get Dallas in. Dallas, he does have some high upside to him because, a decent matchup, attacking threat. So I think he can pay you back right away. I must say I'm probably biased in this decision because I was in a similar position actually. Game week 25, I sort of did what you did. I brought him in instead of making future transfers or saving the transfer, and he got 15 points or 17 points because it was a double game week. So I probably have a little bias, so probably not the best person to ask, but I'm a fan of Dallas overall. I think if you get him in now, you can hold him for the rest of the season. So it's more than just a 1 week transfer, but you also get the benefit of the 1 week transfer out of it. So yeah, I mean, in general, I've liked Dallas. The start of the season, I haven't had him that long, but he's been good. But as far as getting rid of Salah goes, for most people, I think it's tough to ignore, but we just have to find a good alternative. I'm in a similar position. Obviously, I have Salah, and I'm not too excited about it. He's not great, but who do we get in? There are all the cheaper options out there, and Salah's got decent fixtures, so I think at the moment it's going to be, after Arsenal, Villa, Leeds, you almost want to bench him until like the end of the season. The thing about Salah is that he'll always have the desire and hunger to hunt down goals. And maybe not so much last game actually. He passed to the assist in their goal, which is kind of unlike Salah. Given the scenario, he's shot there in the past, shot from a similar situation. But Salah is... sometimes he can be selfish and shoot and just look for as many goals as he can get. So that's why I like him even when they're struggling. I feel like he can always just score 1 goal. But his upside looks so limited recently because of the team. So, I don't know. Salah out is definitely a consideration for me as well. I haven't even looked at my actual team. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I've got bigger things at stake. I think... I don't know. I'm trying to decide captaincy, but I think Kane is sort of the safest way to go. Surely he doesn't get rotated, right? If he does, that would be very upsetting. So let me look at some more. Let me get away from the fixture side of things. Kane recently. Good numbers, right? Who did he achieve these numbers against? These fixtures, okay, he scored twice and got 2 assists against Crystal Palace. He also scored against Burnley, scored against West Brom. Before that, Fulham, Sheffield United. All of his goals recently have been in great fixtures. Is this Villa game a great fixture? I'm not sure that it is. It's a decent enough fixture. It's better than... I'd say it's better than Fulham away in Game Week 26 when he blanked. I'd say it's better than his matchups in 24 and 25, Man City away and West Ham away. and it's better than 28 Arsenal away. So, but it's certainly not as good as the games he's scored in. I would expect Tottenham to win still. I would think they'd be favored, but given it's not a super easy fixture, 120 minutes, I think there's enough doubt here where a differential captaincy option can make sense. Why not Antonio or Watkins? I think that's one of my decisions, to be honest. That's who we need to put in here. Thanks for reminding me. We need to put in the other strikers and simply, because I've been looking at like replacing Maja with like Trossard and these guys, but Antonio and Watkins, not the best fixtures, not amazing. Antonio's numbers, well, they're better than Lingard's. Antonio 10 appearances per 90 minutes. His numbers are better than Lingard's in that time. And Watkins, well, I got to be honest with you, I wouldn't go Watkins. It would be Antonio. Watkins, I feel like he's looked isolated without Grealish, and we could see his numbers here. They're worse than Bamford's, Bale's, Mape's over the past 12, 11 games for them, respectively. So I think Watkins is off the table. He's a good finisher. He's got that going for him. Well, he can be. Not early in the season when I had him. He doesn't have penalties, really. El Ghazi has a good chance of being on the field, and we just don't know who would take them after that. I think it would be Antonio. Spurs, I mean, they can be scored on. They should be reasonably tired. They have some rotation with defenders, so that's not really the biggest issue. Let's take a look at who they started last game, actually. I only looked earlier to see if Reguilon started, and he didn't, so I'm happy to play him. Let's look at the lineups. Tottenham played Dyer, Sanchez, Aurier, Davies. Bale got subbed on and he played like 60 minutes, which is basically like a full appearance for him anyway. They subbed on. So, I mean, I would expect Alderweireld to start. Maybe even Tanganga makes an appearance, but of course Sanchez or Dyer could just play again as well. I feel like Reguilon and Doherty are the likely starters based on this performance that happened. And that actually doesn't look too bad for Antonio or Villa in general. So maybe a Villa attacker has a chance. I still don't like them as an attacking option. I think the fixture looks decent against Spurs, but Watkins, he doesn't really convince me that much. I guess one person I should throw into the mix of comparisons. I feel like I've sort of liked him, but he's a little bit of a rotation risk, is El Ghazi. I think he's a good player as far as getting a goal goes. On penalties, if he's on the field. Worse numbers than Watkins recently, but very small sample size for him. So I think Lingard and Antonio. Do I want both though? Do I want both in the starting lineup? I think I would just go Lingard if I had to, or Antonio if I had to choose. I still feel like Maja's got a better matchup though. The Arsenal matchup puts me off a little bit. I think I'd have to go one or the other, Lingard or Antonio. So if I did Maja to Antonio, I mean, I could just play Lingard and Antonio. I mean, it's not a bad option. The reason I have Maja in there, it's probably just me just doing something for no reason. But Leeds, in certain games, well, they haven't looked great recently, first of all. Haven't looked amazing. But they conceded twice to West Ham, conceded one to Villa, who haven't been good attacking-wise. So I'm like, okay, Fulham can really nick a goal here. Leeds don't have that much to play for anymore, so maybe they let up a little bit defensively. A striker against Fulham, a striker against Leeds, I kind of like that idea, but maybe I should simply go without Maja. I mean, are his numbers, they're not terrible, actually, So 0.6 expected goals per 90 minutes. It's 0.14 behind Antonio. Let's take a look at the fixtures they've had to play in this time. Maja, I mean, he didn't play against Man City. He had to play against Liverpool, Tottenham, Palace, Sheffield United, Burnley, Everton, West Ham. So well, not West Ham, not really. Everton, they were poor that game, but still, that's like a mid-table matchup. Burnley is kind of an easy matchup. Sheffield United, easy blank. Crystal Palace, easy blank. Where Fulham just aren't scoring at all. So the main issue is just Fulham can't create anything. I feel like he gets in good positions, kind of like a Bamford, where he's always ready for the tap-in if it ever arrives, which it typically doesn't. Trossard or Gross. I would go Trossard for sure. Trossard, he typically just gets more shots than Gross. Let's pull up Gross. I feel like his numbers aren't going to be great, though. Trossard also has the ability to sort of create his own shot, which I like. Let's go to Pascal Gross. And Trossard does like shooting. He doesn't mind it at all. So, yeah, I mean, Pascal Gross, his numbers are... His overall expected goal or assist involvement is actually better than Trossard. His expected goals per 90 minutes is a little worse, though. So he's more of an assist-based person. So, yeah, I mean, I guess Gross isn't terrible based on this. I will say that if you just look at this is since January 6th. He's got 1.92 expected goals and hasn't scored anything. Perhaps that's a sign of a poor finisher. I'm not entirely sure, but I haven't been watching too much Brighton, so I wouldn't be able to say for sure. He also gets the penalties, Pascal Gross. So, yeah. That's kind of why you would get him, I feel like. So, not a terrible option. If I had to choose, I think I would still go Trossard. Dallas. So, for 29-30, I would go Dallas out of those guys, Assad. Simply two great fixtures. Sheffield United. Like, I know Leeds have their defensive struggles, but the two fixtures are great. And with the attacking threat in there as well, I feel like he outshines Tierney, and Reguilon's a little bit too much of a rotation risk, in my opinion, to hold on to long term. I'm happy to have him this week. Free hit, I think he'll play, but game week 30, we just never know. So you're playing a wild card in 31 Blues, and you're looking for a Salah replacement. So basically, you need somebody for game week 30. And you just have a lot of money in Salah, and you're looking for somebody that can get you a lot of points. There's not standout options. You already have Lingard, Rafinha, and Son. I'm not interested in. I mean, maybe Mount. Obviously you like Chelsea, but Mount maybe a rotation risk nowadays. I would expect him to start, but I mean it's a good fixture at least. You got Mount in a decent fixture. You have the Villa guys. Like if you think El Ghazi's going to play, it's Fulham, but maybe not. There's Bale. They're out of the Europa League now. Bale against Newcastle, I guess not the worst option. And then other than that, as far as next week goes, you may Manchester United. I mean, I think you already sold Bruno, but there's Bruno and there's Rashford against Brighton. I don't really like any of these guys, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan. I think Mount and I feel like Mount's numbers, I looked at them, I think they were a little boosted because he took that one penalty. So he probably won't get that many chances. But as far as Salah replacement goes, I think we're gonna have to wait and see this week. I would watch out for Bale, the Newcastle midfielders, maybe Lucas, for 1 week, but it's a good matchup against Newcastle. So, I mean, Man City against Leicester, if you can bring somebody in there that I think is going to play, that could always be good for 1 week. If you can kind of predict the Pep roulette, I think that would almost be, if you're very short term, don't count out somebody like Mahrez or, I don't know, Sterling. I would hate to say Sterling, but it would probably be De Bruyne. Maybe Gundogan in for 1 week. Your 5 midfielders are Bruno, Bale, Rafinha, Gundogan, and Saka. You want Lingard. Who should you drop? I assume this is talking about a longer term. I'm going to say Rafinha's got some good fixtures if you can hold on to him long term, assuming you don't have a wild card or anything like that. So I kind of like Rafinha for like the rest of the season. You can play him. There's that stretch there, the three in the middle where you kind of don't really want to play him, these three here. But after that, I think you kind of want him. So, and considering it's Lingard, I would try not to sell Bruno yet. I know his fixtures aren't amazing, but honestly, I'm leaning towards Saka or Gundogan I actually think at the moment, if I had to sell one, I would sell Gundogan. I'm just too worried about rotation with him. We don't see it all the time with him, but I don't know. I'm sort of wanting to get rid of all of my Man City players just because of rotation and the fact they'll have the league locked up. He's going to play some of the games, but he won't others. He's got blanks you have to deal with. I think Gundogan is the one I would sell of those guys. With De Bruyne in the team, it doesn't affect him too much, but also not the best fixtures. But that doesn't impact them too much. I would go for Saka or Gundogan. I think the other three, you try to hold on to him if you can. Obviously, Bruno struggled a little bit recently, but he's still Bruno. Let's look at Bruno recently. I mean, obviously, he got the penalty against Man City, but they play Brighton next, and then Tottenham, Burnley, Leeds. It's not bad. The last 2 seasons, United have done really well at this point in the season. So I'm happy personally to simply hold on to Bruno. Man, I really wanted to take a punt on Maha, but now I'm just thinking that it's not worth it. Antonio has better numbers. I mean, he's Mikel Antonio. He's almost guaranteed 90 minutes. I guess you can't say the same for Mr. Maja there. I just feel like Arsenal is a good defense, and I don't trust it. Antonio against Man City, Tottenham. Antonio is yet to have a double-digit haul this season, actually. I honestly don't expect either one to score, to be honest. I think I'll leave Lingard in. I kind of want to keep Maja, see what happens. There's a chance he doesn't play. I mean, they rested him for the Man City game. I would expect him to play again this week, but maybe he doesn't against Leeds. I don't know. I like the fixture against Leeds. I still don't trust Fulham attacking. I definitely trust West Ham. They're a better team. But the fixture's tough. Tierney or Cresswell. For this week, I like Tierney. Obviously, I'm still going to have to say Tierney. Cresswell, I don't know why. I just haven't been able to fit him in. As far as the transfer goes, Tierney, I mean Cresswell, his fixtures aren't amazing. Like, I could see them keeping clean sheets here, but these are still some decent teams besides Newcastle. But then, in 34, Tierney's a great option, or Cresswell. But at that point, Tierney will be a good option, still a great option as well. Newcastle, West Brom. I feel like the fixtures just sort of edge it towards Tierney a little bit. Other than that, I would say they're kind of similar options in terms of how many points they'll get you. But if I had to choose, I would say Tierney, actually. And yeah, that's a good question. Who is the most nailed on Chelsea midfielder? Especially the ones that are like FPL options. The ones that can actually score goals and get assists. Because if I just said they have to be able to score goals, that would rule out Ziyech because he can't score. Because he doesn't shoot. Well, he does, but doesn't get himself in goal scoring positions, in my opinion. So, Reguilon, Bale, Kane, Bamford, Aubameyang, Tierney, Dunk, Dallas. I would say all those guys are nailed on, even Sanchez. Lingard, Maja. Those spots have always been up for grabs as far as my free hit team goes. And at this point, it's too hard to make the decision. Like, it's going to come down to luck, I suppose. But I think I'll play it safe, get some players playing against each other. Lingard against Tierney, Maja against Dallas. I feel like, at least 2 of the 4 of those guys should return. And it's probably the maximum that will return, unless we get a Tierney or Dallas attacking threat. But other than that, the team, I should get a green arrow this week because of how many people simply don't have players playing. Let's go to Yahoo Sports, because it's kind of weird to use Yahoo Sports. They don't like into their, well, they label it soccer, so I'll say soccer statistics. But the way they keep track of shots and shots on target is something that it keeps it simple enough for me to be interested, because if a shot is like blocked right away, or if it's any blocked shot, basically they don't count as a shot on target. So sometimes I just like to go see shots on target, and I use this a lot actually. Like in 18-19, I would just keep track of every game. I would just look, okay, who took the most shots. So we saw Maha 3 shots against Liverpool, none against Spurs, 4 against Crystal Palace, 2 against Burnley, 3 against Everton. These are pretty good numbers. None against Sheffield United is not great. Other than that, I mean, he's taking a lot of shots, and it's what you kind of want to see. He scored 2 goals. I don't know. I'm not completely sold on him. I'm really not. Let's go to Antonio. See how many shots he's taken. I probably need to type in his first name. Um, 30 or 31 for the wild card. I don't think it makes a big difference. If I had to choose, I think I would go for the early one. I think regardless, you can kind of plan for the whole season at that rate, like at least to some capacity. So I think I would just go 30 if I had to choose between the two without knowing the whole situation. Let's go to Antonio's game log. Antonio is 31, kind of old. Or, well, no, he's about to turn 31 in about a week. So Antonio, let's see, 0 shots against United, 0 shots against Leeds. Doesn't look great. 4 against City, 2 against Tottenham. That actually kind of favors Arsenal if you would expect Arsenal or West Ham to counter Arsenal occasionally. It looks good with a lot of shots against Man City, Tottenham, but then no shots against Fulham, no shots against Leeds. Teams that sit back more. Him not having any shots against Leeds actually puts me off of Maha a little bit, because that's a striker playing against Leeds that didn't get any shots. A center striker like Maha would play. But we saw Antonio get 3 shots against Villa, and that looks good for Kane. 6 shots against Crystal Palace. His shot numbers have been good too, and we know he's a little bit more established than Maha, obviously. I don't know if I should be saying Maha or Maja. Probably Maja. So maybe Antonio for Maja makes more sense. But Bale or Cresswell? Without Son, well, that's right. They did look awful. Bale or Cresswell? I'm going to still say Bale every day. A little bit higher upside there. I think Arsenal probably score and beat West Ham if I had to choose. But Cresswell's obviously not a bad option. I have him in the team at least. He's my 3rd sub. But I still think I would go Bale. A little bit higher upside, I would say. And Villa haven't been great defensively. They've been okay, but they haven't been great. Bale, the one downside of him, I feel like, is the fact that he's really going to play 65 minutes and then get subbed off. So extra 20 minutes that everybody else gets, Bale doesn't get at all. Yeah, that worked, Nuclear Adams. I was thinking about that. Gundogan didn't play at all, so it didn't really matter. Traore got hurt. And I think Rudiger kept a clean sheet. But yeah, Traore getting hurt was obviously unlucky for Traore owners. Didn't Rudiger get a clean sheet? I think he did. Yeah, he kept the clean sheet. I just made sure he played that week. But yeah, I thought about that decision once Traore went off hurt. I was like, oh, well, made the right decision there, even though I said I would have started him. But unlucky as far as my hypothetical pick goes. I would still captain Kane over Antonio. Not necessarily anything to do with captaincy or effective ownership and playing safe, but just because Villa, I think it's objectively a better fixture. The one uncertainty about Kane is his 120 minutes that he recently played, but uh, I mean, depending on your goals, if you've set a goal rank of something you're way behind on, then Antonio, I suppose isn't terrible. I mean, I suppose I could also go without Bamford, instead of Bamford, go with Antonio, but I think I'll shy away from that sort of thinking at the moment. And I think it's got to happen actually. As much as this, I don't know. I had Maja this whole time, and now I'm just gonna get rid of him. He was kind of my differential. Leeds is a good fixture, I still think, but I'm not sold on it as much as I was. Fulham simply don't attack that well, and Maja subbed off and then didn't play at all. I think it's just an unnecessary risk, to be honest. And I could throw Lacazette in there to be interesting. Lacazette, let's actually look at his numbers real quick. I don't think they're amazing, and given the fact that we may have to deal with some rotation, I actually think that he'll probably come off the bench again this week, like he has in the past a lot. Lacazette's numbers aren't even close to Antonio's anyway. They are better than like Bale's and Bamford's, for example. So I still think he's decent enough, free hitting 1 week type of thing. But let's bring in Antonio, and now all of a sudden I have 2 West Ham players. Yeah, Bamford injury sucked. That's for sure. I think he should be fine this week, but very unfortunate. The injuries to a lot of people's teams last week was Son, Bamford. Well, I had Son and Bamford. So unfortunate. And then a lot of people had the Brighton defender. Who was it? Burn. They got injured as well. So some people had 3 injuries in that first half. I'm benching Bruno Diaz and Cancelo for Dallas, Dunk, and who else? I'm confused by the question. Need some options. What do you mean, who else? Bruno Diaz and Cancelo for Dallas, Dunk, and who else? Don't know the team. Is Odegaard a differential? Odegaard is certainly a differential. I'm not sure he's a good one. Let's take a look at Odegaard's stats. I don't think I've actually looked at these. I think they're going to be pretty underwhelming if I had to guess. Odegaard, well, he doesn't make the first page of these players. Odegaard, well, let's just put this into perspective. Reguilon's expected goals plus expected assists per 90 minutes since January 6th is higher than Odegaard. So Reguilon is higher than Odegaard. And Tierney is only 0.01 behind, and Dallas is 0.02 behind. So he's down there with the fullbacks as far as that goes. Obviously, he's an extreme differential, and he does have a very small sample size in terms of he's got only 385 minutes. Obviously, he hasn't been there long, so he's a little bit of an unknown, and that's where his potential upside comes from, simply because you could argue that us not knowing what he does, all of the unknown could be good stuff that we come to find out. So, yeah, that would be where I initially put him on my bench for that reason. I was like, it's the bench, doesn't matter, I'll throw him on there. And I think he's a decent player. I'm just worried, how much goal threat does he have? That's the one thing that worries me. And there's also like him being subbed off a lot. A lot of random things could happen here, I feel like. Did score, should have confidence. I don't hate the pick overall. There's a lot of these midfielders that I'm not too sold on, as I said, but I still think Lingard over Odegaard would make a little more sense. But having Lingard and Antonio does feel weird, because I feel like Arsenal have a pretty decent chance of a clean sheet. The one thing that's sort of taking me out of that mindset a little bit is if we go back to the EPL standings and we see basically Arsenal, what do they have to play for? Well, other competitions besides the Premier League. That's the answer. Where are Arsenal in the standings at? And, we know when teams don't have anything to play for, they tend to defend worse. They're right in the middle of the table. They're 10th. Are they going to get top 5? Not really. Are they going to get relegated? No. So, they could still get top 5, don't get me wrong, but it's probably not going to happen. So, teams with nothing to play for, do they defend well? Not really. A little bit worse. They've still been, one of the best defenses this season, even though their clean sheets haven't been great. So, you got Iheanacho last week. That's actually amazing. Mape or Antonio for this game week? Well, I've went Antonio. Mape isn't terrible. I don't think he has penalties anymore, which sort of puts me off. I feel like that was a lot of his upside. I think the main thing I can say with Mape is, as far as the chances he gets a decent amount. But Brighton as a whole, and this includes Mape, haven't finished well at all recently, and I think that's like an actual thing. So, like, it's not just like random chance. I feel like they're aware of how much they haven't been able to finish, especially someone like Mape. Obviously, it's a good fixture. I don't hate either one. I still think I trust Antonio a little more. But I bring this up to say Mape, you can see here, expected goals in the last 11 games, 3. Obviously, well, that's not a great rate anyway. But he's only scored one of those. And then expected assists. His teammates, 2.42, they've only scored 1 when he's passed to him. So it's been a theme of Brighton recently simply to not be able to score. That could all change. Their luck could balance out and they could score 6 from 6 shots this week. So we don't know. I don't have any Brighton attackers in my team at the moment. I've thought about it. I've definitely thought about Trossard and Mape. I don't mind either one, but if I had to choose, Antonio, let's look at goals scored. How many goals have West Ham has scored? 42 goals this season, and Brighton have scored 29. That's a big difference. So I think Antonio on the better team, even though it's a tougher fixture, I think he just edges it for me. Yeah, I can check your teams. Feel free to go ahead and post it on Twitter. 15 minutes until deadline, I believe. Yep. 14 now. I still think I'm going to captain Kane. I just trust Kane too much. I could always go with the West Ham Arsenal game. I still get the feeling it's going to be low scoring, even though I ended up with this team. I suppose I could always get rid of Lingard. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Lingard out is the way to go. For some reason, I'm just not sold on him. I know his numbers are good, but I just expect that game to be low scoring. But who else could I get? What are these other midfielders? I know there's Trossard, but I'm worried about him. And there's Rafinha as well. I'll go with Antonio. I'll make the late change and throw Antonio in there. Can't go too wrong with Antonio, I suppose. Who are the other options? I don't want Bowen. Lookman, I suppose. He's more nailed on than someone like Maja. A little bit worse statistics. Probably a better player overall, I would say, in terms of create. But I don't know. Lookman could be decent. Still don't trust Fulham to score. At the end, that's what puts me away from Maja. Thoughts on my team? Well, first of all, let me answer. It's Maja or Mitrovic? Maja every day. Mitrovic, he hasn't played. He's probably not even going to play, I would say. Has he been playing? Yeah, he hasn't started since Gameweek 22, so definitely Maja. I think Maja didn't play last week, but I think he's likely to start this week. So, thoughts on my team: Martinez, Dunk, Target, Cresswell, Bale, Rafinha, Odegaard, Lingard. So obviously, besides Odegaard, which I'm not a huge fan of, I think it's a good team. If it's a free hit, I can't say that I'm a huge fan of the Martinez and Target combination for this week. Obviously, I have Target in my actual team because of the fixture, but Martinez has been so good this season, so. But yeah, for this week, maybe Martinez and Target, probably better options. Other than that, obviously, it's a good team. You got the Kane, you got the Bale. Maybe Reguilon instead of Target, but other than that, looking pretty good. Bamford, Kane, Antonio. Yeah, I feel like Bamford, Kane, Antonio is probably the safest way to go. That's where I've ended on. Now the thing is, do I take a chance with a Fulham attacker? It's still Leeds. It's still them playing Leeds, and I still kind of like the fixture. Expected goals against recently. Leeds aren't that bad though. They're really not that bad. And I could always just throw Rafinha in there. Leeds have only scored 3 in the last 5. That's sort of putting me off the whole double attack side of things. How many? Fulham haven't scored any at all. Like, it's just not even haven't close to scoring. You know what? I'm gonna stick with my gut of saying no to Lingard. Yeah, I'm gonna go without Lingard. I think I'm gonna take a chance on Lookman. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Actually, he was actually in my initial team when I first just threw a team together. His numbers aren't amazing as far as over the course of the season, but I do like the fixture. I really do. I feel like, we've seen in the past. I think back to the Harvey Barnes goal he scored against Leeds, where Leeds, they press and the press gets beaten, and then a lot of times, like with their man marking midfielders, if the midfielder is able to beat their man, all of a sudden they're running onto a back four with like no midfield support, and I feel like that suits Lookman well. So it's almost a tactical decision, which typically don't work out, to be honest with you. Like, being able to like understand like, oh, this tactic helps this kind of player is nice, but things just change so often. Things just don't always work out the way that you can just imagine. But his numbers are right there with Trossard. At least they're still not great. But I kind of want to take a chance on Lookman, so I think I'll do it. We'll see how it goes. So I went from Maja and Lingard, or whoever the other midfielder is, to Lookman and Antonio. And I feel like it's a little more reliable in terms of 90 minutes and overall quality of player if they do get the chances. Maja's a little bit of an unknown, which I like it because of the upside. Like, oh, we don't know. Maybe he's amazing, but I don't know if I answered that, but I don't play Champions League Fantasy. I might already answer that, but I don't. I tried it like 2 years ago or so, but I just never completely got into it. So you know what? I'll throw Lookman into the team, and we'll see what he can do. I think he's a good player, so that always helps. Obviously, you want good players. I've liked Lookman ever since he missed that penalty, which helped my fantasy team, by the way. But then, not because of that, but because he was able to bounce back and just start playing well after that. Like, I don't know, the way he still plays with confidence after that, because it was such a big moment. Like, obviously, people were talking like he got abuse on social media and everything. It was such a terrible moment when that happened in Gameweek 8. That was. But very next week, he came out and got an assist. The week after that, he got an assist against Everton when they were playing amazingly. And then he scored against Leicester in a 2-1 win. So I was like, that's pretty cool. So I like Lookman from that point on. Who did I get in? What did you get? Oh, Game Week 28. I'll go back to my team. Now that I'm pretty much decided on all this, I'll take a look back. So Game Week 28, 53 points. Stones and Cancelo, all the points. Calvert-Lewin got the goal. It was the old case of he didn't really do much all game, but he got one chance and he scored it. Didn't look great as a fantasy option, but he did get 1 point. So, yeah, that's how that went. -4 for 49. A tiny, tiny green arrow. So, that's kind of how that went. Obviously, not many returns for a lot of people. Salah captaincy wasn't too much of a fail. 3 points better than what a lot of captaincy options got. So, good luck, Afil. I wouldn't start Bamford just based on his ownership, simply because that's just not the kind of thing I do, to be honest. Like, I try not to base decisions on ownership, to be honest. But I think Bamford, he's just somebody I'm just going to stick by. On penalties, should start for Leeds. I know Rafinha has better numbers, but I think Bamford gets in, he's always in the box waiting to score. I kind of like that in players. I always have. Tammy Abraham last season, I think it was. Players like Vardy, I've always liked these guys. But yeah, I think Bamford's always a good option, so I'm sticking with him personally. So thoughts on captaining a Brighton defender? I don't think it's bad. I'll be the first one to say that. A lot of people say, "Oh no, don't do that." Like 18-19, the season I finished 50th, I triple captained Shane Duffy, Brighton defender, got me 1 point times 3. Obviously, is 3. So if anyone's going to advise against it, it should be me. But I'm going to say, given the alternatives this week, I still don't think that's terrible. Obviously, you're basically putting all your money on a clean sheet. so it's not ideal. Like you want some sort of attacking threat as well. You want somebody that's kind of a dual threat. But it's a decent enough chance, considering there's not any amazing alternatives. I think it's not something to be necessarily scared of. So I'm not against it. I'm not against, Regulon captaincy is something I've thought about. That'd be something if I change now to Regulon captain. Not bad attacking numbers. Should start this week, right? Because he didn't play midweek or he got subbed on midweek. 4 assists in 1,400 minutes. Let's look at his attacking numbers, underlying numbers, that is. If you look at his last 6 games, he's had a 20% chance to get an attack and return in each game based on it, understat.com. So if we just assume that continues, 20% chance of a return plus, whatever it is, 40% chance of a clean sheet. I would say he most likely gets a return, and then you give him captaincy. Hope he gets both, the attacking return and the clean sheet. So Brighton don't have that same level of flexibility, but they do have the better matchup. I think the one thing about captaining defenders that puts a lot of people off, and it's not a good reason. The real good reason is less upside in general. Like, really high scores, they're kind of capped because, like, typically they can get 1 attack and return and a clean sheet. That's kind of what you're hoping for. And then you're hoping they get the 3 bonus. Obviously, somebody like Kane got 2 goals, 2 assists last game week, and that can kind of happen any week with someone like him. So, but if you captain a defender and then they score early on, like if Villa score early on against Tottenham and I captain Regulon, it would just be so demoralizing because for the rest of the game, there's basically nothing to hope for. You're hoping for a max 5 points, really, he gets an assist. So it can just be so demoralizing that I feel like it puts a lot of people off. And even though there's other reasons, that's not necessarily the best reason why. But yeah, good luck, Kobe. 59 points is obviously very good. Dunk and Iheanacho, very nice. Iheanacho, it's weird because a lot of times people will stumble into a good scenario like him, a starting spot, Leicester with some decent fixtures. Like, it looked good, but it's like, how much do we trust its quality? So sometimes you just got to take the chance and it works. So congratulations on that. I feel like that's kind of the case with someone like Majah this week. It's a decent position because of the fixture. It's not as good as Iheanacho's though, given the team he plays for. Yeah, in general, I try to avoid captaining defenders. I used to have a tendency to go for it a lot more. Captain Doherty twice in a row last year. Captain Alonso at least once. 18-19. I remember one time I captained Matteo Darmian in his first season at United, probably like game week 6 or something. He got me 6 points, and I was happy with it. It's like, I don't know when this was, but even then I think I could have just captained an attacker who probably got like 9. So, and that's the thing, like captaining a defender this week, we'd be betting against Kane, and I'm not sure I'm ready to do that, to be honest. I think I'm going to stick on Kane. 120 minutes puts me off, though. I will say that. Let's go to Tottenham fixtures. When did they play that game? That was yesterday. I mean, they played 120 minutes yesterday. And they play when? I mean, they play Sunday, right? So they have time. I think Kane's going to be fine. I think I got to stick with Kane. I still don't love any of the options that much. I think it's a good chance it'll be low scoring, but we'll see what happens. I'm honestly, I think Regulon and Tierney, I think one of those is going to do very well this week. That's my prediction. I'm excited to own those. I think Regulon's probably under-owned this week. A lot of people aren't free hitting. I think, just coming off the bench in the midweek, he's going to start, or he should start against Villa. I like it. No Son makes it easy to do. Son probably going to be out, but don't know for sure. But you want to see something cool? Actually, no, I'm not going to do it. I was going to throw Burke in like third sub at the last minute, but I haven't had that much luck this season where I can do that. Like, who knows? I may need all these guys because Bamford injury, the 120 minutes for Tottenham, I can't quite do it. And then Aubameyang, like, potential resting there. So, no Oliver Burke in at the last second. And that is 2:30 for my time, so we should get the alert anytime. That is the deadline confirmed. And let's go to Twitter and check out how things are going. Oh, I forgot to answer Vish. Sorry, Vish. But I was preparing for the deadline stream. Thoughts on Salah, Gundogan to Abamora or Bale Odegaard? Well, I hope you did the Abamora move if you had to choose. I'm sure you're not watching, but yeah, I wouldn't go Bale Odegaard. A little bit of uncertainty there. Unless you just love Real Madrid and you want to get former Real Madrid players. Overall, I think, I don't know. Either way, I'm not a huge fan, to be honest. So at least I responded in a time where didn't make much. And I also forgot to respond to Hussein, but I'm not going to show, even though it's fine, I'm not going to show messages on a stream. It's a good point. It feels like this week's captaincy decision boils down to two things. Gabe says FOMO or YOLO. Me personally, I don't think it's either one for me. I just think Kane's the best captaincy option, but if I had to choose, I would say FOMO because I am captaining Kane. Anyway, that will be that. Let's see if Mr. Nuclear Adams posted his team. And then we can Hindu Monkey captain Trossard. Imagine captaining Trossard. I actually like Trossard. Do you remember Trossard's horrendous red card? That man, it was probably 2 or 3 seasons ago. Trossard literally had one of the worst red cards I've ever seen. Brighton were losing. He just clattered a man from the back. Obviously, I can't pull it up on stream. I wish I could and show you the video, but I'm just so worried that even though like it's within the realm of like, oh, I'm critiquing it, it's like a reaction video, I would just be too worried. That maybe I should though. That Trossard red card, it was just so bad. But yeah, so Sanchez, Reguilon, Tierney, Dunk, Dallas, Bale, Aubameyang, Lookman, Kane, captain, Antonio, and Bamford. That's how it's going. So yeah, I suppose I will end the stream there. Thank you guys for watching. I don't know if I'll do anything. Let's see, what are the games? Not today. Fulham Leeds, not going to react to that. Maybe Villa Spurs live stream at that point. Let's see. And then they play Saturday, April 3rd. So not too back-to-back. If I had to make predictions, I'm going to actually say Leeds beat Fulham 2-1. Brighton beat Newcastle 1-0. I think they barely score. There's a good chance of a 1-1 as well. West Ham and Arsenal. I think Arsenal win 2-1. And Aston Villa Spurs. I'm actually gonna say 1-0 Spurs. I don't think they can score that many, but hopefully it will be Kane. With that said, let's quickly, just so you can see what I'm talking about, I'm going to pull up this Trossard red card, and you're going to be shocked. Oh, look, Block FPL is live streaming. That's crazy, huh? Trossard red card. I think it was against Bournemouth, I want to say. It may even been... let's see. Can I even find the red card? I don't think I can. It's such a like small moment. I just remember it being the most ridiculous challenge I ever saw. I want to say versus Bournemouth, and I just remember it for some because like he wasn't even close to being to the ball at all. Oh well, I clearly have no clue what I'm talking about. Anyway, I will see you guys next deadline stream. Have a wait, what was this? Oh no, I did not see that red card. I need to look it up though. I don't really watch Rangers or anything like that, the Scottish Premier League. I don't think so. I don't think I've ever watched them. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next video, I suppose. Have a good game week. It's not as good as mine, of course.